G'day everyone, this is X-Ray Racer 1 and this is part 2 of the Team Associated B5M build series. So part 2 we will be starting with the construction of the kit. So part 2 is going to be the start of the steering system and attaching parts to the chassis. And so basically, yeah, steering and chassis assembly, parts of it. One of the things I'll note out, with this I'll be, as I said in the unboxing video, I'll be building this apart from a few hop-ups. I'll be building this as the kit is, but later on I'll be doing a factory team conversion for it. Tools you'll need: some simple tools, cutters, hex drivers, metric. You'll also need pliers, scissors, hobby knife, and also you might see me use this. I do have some joint problems, so sometimes I might have to bring this out and use it. Other things you will also need: thread lock and little nut drivers as well. So start off with, what we'll do is we'll just cut out, take off the, oops, well, could have gone better, taking off the excess plastic that's not needed. Could have made this a little bit easier. Now, in this build series, like the others I've done, if there are multiple of the same things, I will go ahead off camera and build either half or more of the same thing. Then on camera I'll show you how to go through one of them, because I mean there's no point in me just doing every single one, because that'll take too much time and ain't nobody got time for that. So with you'll have flashing, just with the hobby knife, just with a sharp hobby knife, and please be careful, just cut it away. If you're a young kid, it might help to have some adult supervision building this. And so it's pretty simple. Okay, so that's that done. What we'll do now is we'll start with the steering. Now what we'll do, we have our steering rack, and we need some bearings to put into here. So put bearings in. Okay, just squeeze them in, make sure that they're flush with the top there. Alright, we'll do the same for these steering parts here, put the bearings in. Alright, so that's that part. Now, what we need is our ball studs. We need two 8mm ball studs and hex driver, 2mm. Now, I will say this multiple times: don't over tighten the screws or ball studs or whatever. I'll sound like a bit of a broken record, but you'll thank me. Oh, need a wash up, helps to pay attention. Okay, so just start pressing it in firmly and then start screwing it in. Now when you get to, if you've never built a kit before, when you're screwing it in, you'll feel it nip, like that, and then just a little turn, and that's all you'll need. So like I said, you feel it tighten, and just a little bit more, and then you're done. That's all you need to do. Alright, so repeat on this side. I also apologise too ahead of time if I start pronouncing words funny. I have been to the dentist today, so words might sound a little funny. I mean, apart from my accent. So okay, so that's that bit done there. Now what we need is put these rubber O-rings over the top, like that. Okay, so that is that part. Alright, so now what we'll need, one thing too is you need to note the orientation and where the ball studs go. Alright. Now, one thing too, you have to bear with me because quite often I have to look at the screen here, so make sure I've got everything on in the shot. So I apologise too if I get something out of shot you don't see it. Alright, so now what we need is 2 screws. Now something that will also help, especially because they don't actually give you a reference on the instruction manual here. There's no 1-to-1 scale of the screws like you will get in some other kits. So we want 12mm screws, so some digital calipers help, and we want it zeroed and in millimeters. Alright, so this would be the yes, these are the 12. Okay, digital calipers come in very handy. Okay, so now the next part is to bolt put them through, and as always, like a broken record, don't over tighten them. Now note the orientation too of like both this part and for the steering. This is the steering which moves the rack. Okay, so what we'll do, okay, so that one goes like so. And don't be in a hurry to try and force it in, because you can end up doing more damage. Alright. Again, with this part here, you'll feel it nip, and you want to make sure that it moves freely. So we'll do the same again for the next arm. Again, as always, note its orientation. Okay, just bear with me a sec, folks. This is going to be a little bit fiddly. Okay. Again, once you feel it nip, make sure that it moves nice and freely. Okay, so that's how we want it to go. Alright, now next part, we'll need these 2 long screws and brace here. Note the orientation of the brace as well. You probably can't see it on the shot here, but there's like a little ridge that has to face away because it'll be attaching to this part, well, attaching to the underneath. So, alright, so now we put it Yes, that moves nicely. Alright, so now what we have to do is attach it to under here and just go into there. There seems to be a few similarities between my B4 and B5 here. My SC10, I mean, virtually the same kind of layout as my B4, because the SC10 is based off the T4 chassis. Alright, as usual, feel it nip and stop. Again, same there. And just check it, make sure it moves freely, no binding, which it's not. As you can see, it moves without any form of binding. Okay, now next part, what we'll do, we'll move on to the chassis. Okay, well, first of all, I should put on this spool stud too. Getting a little ahead of myself. So far, I mean, I've only done a few screws and so forth, but this does seem a lot nicer than my B4. And I love my B4. That is probably the most successful car I have in my entire collection, both on-road and off-road. Anyway, that's a story for another time anyway. Alright, so now, move on to the chassis. What we need to do now is attach this part. Now we need the 10mm screws. So I will get out this part, my digital calipers. Alright, so that's those. We need 10mm ones. So we need so that's those ones. So we need how many? 5. 4, 5. Okay. What I might do here is I might use my power screws or power driver. Same principle applies when you're using a power tool. Once you feel it nip, you stop. Like that. So, same principle again. I have to admit, this is the best $20 I've ever spent. Alright. Batteries might be going a little bit flat on this, so if it goes flat on me, I might have to go back to the other wrench. Alright, so that's that part done. quite good. Alright, so now the next part is to put on this part here. Make sure that it's not exactly smooth, so just give me a second, folks. It's nice. Alright, so what we'll do, push that in. Now we need 4 of the smaller screws here for the top. Now this, have a look to see where they go, so they just go there, right? I contemplated getting the blue factory team screws, but I couldn't be bothered. Okay, so now we do the underside with the larger screws. Starting to sound like the little engine that could. I think I can. Alright. I'm getting there. I'll probably get bashed for saying this, but this sort of system here, similar to the old TLR and TLR22T. Okay, why didn't you go in there? I'll put you in here for a second. Well, a little interesting, the one of the holes here in the mold doesn't match up, so just cut that out a little bit just to form a thread. Could this looks like a bit of flashing, a bit of flash, like off bit of plastic. All right, there we go. Alright, so now what we do is we will attach screws. So okay, so what we need to the kit, it's a 25-degree kick up. There's a 30-degree one. We won't be using that. So that just, how does that go on here? Okay, so it goes on like so. It goes on like that there. Alright, so now there. We'll just use this. It's already starting to look like a buggy. Well, not quite. It's still really a bare chassis. Okay, now we flip it over. Now we put it through the most rearward holes, because if it's like the B4, there'll be like a little bumper that has to go there, and then those screws come later. Ah, you know what? I'm going to use this. I'm getting... These long screws just make it a little bit difficult for me. Alright, so there we go folks. This is the end of part one. So got the steering and start the assembly of the chassis. So stay tuned for part two, where we start with the steering knuckles and C-hubs.